Welcome back to Book Break and welcome to our August book haul. I have got down by my side a massive box full of surprise books. These are some of the most exciting books that we have published here at Macmillan throughout the month of August. So without further ado, I'm going to dive in and see what we've got. The first one in here is absolutely beautiful. This is Shakespeare for every day of the year. So this is another book to add to your collection if you have been collecting these gorgeous Ali Aziri poetry books. This does exactly what it says on the tin. It goes through every single day of the year and gives you a little extract from Shakespeare. The first thing that I always do when I get these books is look up my birthday. On June the 16th, we have an extract from A Midsummer Night's Dream, so I'm pretty pleased with that. Ali Aziri also gives you a little explanation to put the extract into context, help you understand how to read it. These books are magical. Another book with shiny gold foil on the cover is The Women Could Fly by Megan Giddings. This is a feminist dystopia. It sounds incredible. So this book is set in an alternate reality in which women are totally controlled by the state, particularly unmarried women, because to be unmarried sets you apart and throws you under suspicion, particularly of witchcraft, because in this world, witches are real, and our main character is pretty certain that her mother was one. In a world where witches are real, peculiar behaviour raises suspicions, and a woman, especially a black woman, can find herself on trial for witchcraft. Handmaid's Tale fans, this is one for you. We have a beautiful new paperback of The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. Is everyone getting excited for the movie coming out with Dakota and Elle Fanning playing the two sisters in this book? I absolutely love this new design. It goes so well with Kristen Hanna's other covers. Just gorgeous. I love the colours. This story is about what it was like to be a woman during World War II when women's stories were all too often forgotten or overlooked. Kristen Hanna kind of specialises in that, giving voices to women at parts of history when their stories weren't really listened to and yet they were having to show so much strength. Cemetery Boys by Aidan Thomas is a YA novel that has already been huge in the States. I'm sure you would have seen this one all over the internet, and now you can get it here as well. It's about a teenage trans boy who accidentally raises a ghost, the ghost of his high school's resident good-looking bad boy, who turns out maybe not to be so bad after all. I've got a gorgeous poetry collection here. These are the words by Nikita Gill. Fearless verse to find your voice. This one has been super popular on Instagram. For girlhood, womanhood and sisterhood, for the highs and lows of love, for understanding family, for when you are hurting, for when you need to protest, for when you hate your body, for when you need to heal, for friendship and found family. These are poems for every occasion that you might find, particularly in the life of being a woman. It's also illustrated. It's just all round a gorgeous book. This gorgeous nostalgic thing is Just One of Those Days by Jill Murphy. It's the sequel to Peace at Last. This is one of my favourite series when I was younger. It's about the Bear family. In this story, it's set immediately after the night where none of them could get any sleep, which we all read about in Peace at Last. In this one, all sorts of adventures are going to happen. It's raining. Baby Bear is going to be late for school. When he gets there, someone else is playing with his favourite toy. So much drama. Next up, I've got The Party House by Lynn Anderson. Lynn Anderson is already such a popular crime writer, and this book is something a little bit different for her. It's her first standalone thriller. It's set in this very glamorous looking house, and it's set in a village in the Scottish Highlands, a small community devastated by a recent pandemic that was brought in by outsiders. So, as you can imagine, the members of this community are not thrilled at all to find that the nearby estate is planning to reopen its luxury party house to tourists. And then in the midst of all of this tension and escalating hostilities, a body is found. The body of a teenager who went missing 5 years ago. And then I've got another thriller set in a big house. Daisy Darker is about the Darker family being reunited for the first time in years in a crumbling house on an isolated island. When the tide comes in, the house is completely cut off from the mainland, and overnight, one by one, members of the Darker family begin to die. If you're a fan of Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None, this will obviously be right up your alley, but it has got a very modern twist that means you will not be able to guess where this book is going. And talking of legends of crime fiction, I have a new David Baldacci here, The 620 Man. So this one is a standalone thriller and it's set in the cutthroat world of high finance. Our main character, Travis Devine, takes a daily commute on the 620 train into New York's financial district, into a world where greed, power, jealousy, and ambition result in the financial abuse of the masses and the enrichment of an elite few. This is leading perfectly into the book that I've already seen is next in the pile. But where this book revolves around a series of deaths, the next book I'm going to show you is very different. Trust by Hernan Diaz is also set in the world of high finance, but this one is not a murder mystery, it's more of a character mystery. Who really are the people in this book? It's such a clever book. In fact, I'm very excited because the author is coming into the office today and is going to be outside this door in about 15 minutes. So I'm going to go get this book signed. You might be getting a hint from the cover being entirely made up of book pages that this is a very meta book. It's a book within a book within a book within a book, and each time you get to a new section, you revisit the characters and learn something totally different about them because no one is quite who they appear. This one is on this year's Booker long list, so very excitedly rooting for it. Next, for something lovely and warm, The Pre-Loved Club by Sue Tedden. Everyone deserves a second chance. So we have two characters, Ned, who is in IKEA with his wife when she breaks the news that she's leaving him, and Gemma, who opens the glove compartment of her husband's car to find a pair of women's sunglasses that aren't hers. So both of them, completely out of the blue, find themselves alone. But you can't sit around feeling sorry for yourself, especially when there are children involved, so both of them, for very different reasons, join a support group for single parents. So it's a really, really heartwarming story about dating the second time around, and it's for anyone who finds that life doesn't quite work out the way you had planned. Haven is the latest book from Emma Donoghue. This one is another book set on an isolated island. We've got a bit of a theme this month, but this is historical fiction. It's in fact set, let me make sure I get this right, in the 7th century in Ireland. And it's about a priest who has this dream telling him that his religious calling is to leave the world behind. And so he sets off with 2 other monks to establish a new religious community far away from anyone else. And it's this extreme isolation that builds so much atmosphere in this book, as well as having characters that will really stick with you. There are some fantastic looking children's books in here. I have just picked up 2 that are about cats. Moon Cat and Me by Lydia Corey and 10 Cats by Emily Gravett. So this one is a counting book where you're counting the different number of cats, the different colours, 3 cats with stripes, 4 cats with patches, really beautiful illustrations in here. And Moon Cat and Me is a joyful story, it says, about the power of the imagination and overcoming anxiety. Moving house and starting a new school can feel a bit scary, but Mooncat helps Pearl to enjoy the adventure. Gosh, look how pretty that is inside as well. Cats, all the rage this month. And perhaps even more exciting than cats are dinosaurs. Here I've got Tyrannosaurus Drip by Julia Donaldson and David Roberts. This is the special anniversary edition. Celebrate 15 years of Tyrannosaurus Drip, the small but mighty duckbill dinosaur. Who ever heard of a vegetarian T-Rex? That's so cute. Poor Tyrannosaurus Drip. Ooh, there's another Aidan Thomas in here. So I showed you Cemetery Boys earlier, but I've also got Lost in the Neverwoods, which is a Peter Pan retelling. 5 years ago, Wendy and her 2 brothers vanished into the woods. She was the only one who returned. Peter Pan is such a great story for retellings. There's so many elements to explore there. In order to find her brothers, Wendy must confront what's waiting for her in the woods. Oh, and I love this. It's dedicated to every heavy heart that had to grow up too fast. Some more beautiful looking literary fiction. This is Eden by Jim Crace, which is a sort of Garden of Eden retelling. This is a story about a woman who has escaped from Eden. It's about the coming of another fall of Eden, and it's written by a novelist who has been described as one of our most original and inventive. And it also might be just possibly the prettiest book I've ever seen. I've got a couple of Cormac McCarthy's, our Picador collection editions, No Country for Old Men and The Road by Cormac McCarthy. I'll link below to the video I made a few months ago about the Picador collection. I showed you all of the books that were in it at that point. It just keeps growing, so I will link to that video so you can go and see how gorgeous they all look together, and then make sure you add these to the list. Sunset Swing is now out in paperback. This is the 4th book in Ray Celestine's City Blues Quartet, which is about the history of both jazz music and the mob and takes us through different cities, different time periods. This one is 1967 LA. An Ocean Apart by Sarah Lee is a debut novel. This is historical fiction. It's set in 1950s. It says on the front here that it is Call the Midwife meets Small Island. And the book is inspired by real-life stories of the Windrush generation and Sarah Lee's mother's own experiences as a nurse coming to Britain from the Caribbean. So this novel is inspired by those true stories and then tells a new fictional story of a young woman in Barbados who spots an advert for young women to train as nurses for the new NHS, and so she and her sister set off on their way to a whole new country. The box is nearly empty, but I've got a few more exciting paperback releases to show you, so any of these you might have been holding out for in paperback. What Strange Paradise by Omar El Akkad. This is about a 9-year-old Syrian boy called Amir who is the only survivor from a boat of refugees and washes up on this tiny island. Aravind Adiga himself has described this book as a haunting story of refugees, high seas, sharks and Samaritans. The Black Locomotive by Ryan Hughes is a unique book. Just take a look at this. It does not look like anything you've read before, I guarantee it. The book plays with design, with typeface, and tells this extraordinary story throughout all of this about the spirit of London. A strange anomaly is uncovered in the new top-secret Crossrail extension. It's an archaeological puzzle, one that may transform our understanding of history and the origins of London itself. And finally, I've got the paperback of The Golden Couple by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekanan, an amazing thriller writing duo who you are such fans of. A lot of you have left comments saying how much you love their books. This is about a couple whose marriage is in trouble, and so they go to a therapist to see if they can repair their relationship. But this is no ordinary therapist. In fact, she has said right from the beginning that her methods are totally unconventional. I raced through this one. If you have read anything by these two authors before, you will know quite how page-turning their books are and how many twists and turns you will come across along the way. You will never be able to guess which way this book is going. And that is our August book haul. That was a selection of just some of the shiniest new books that we have published in August. So do leave me a comment below letting me know which of those books you are most excited to get your hands on. And I will link here to a playlist of all of our other book hauls so you can click through and browse through those. And I'll see you next time.